How are you doing with your thesis?
More or less. I haven't uploaded anything yet because I still, well, I want to check some books from Gadi, but I
Okay.
hadn't had the chance to come, so.
Okay. So no more changes here with regard to your 4 steps from your handout. Is this updated?
Oh no, that one is not.
I want to find out how teachers can implement this kind of material. Is that not? No. Okay. So here's what I would suggest doing, preferably between today and tomorrow. Update your information in Canvas, these 4 steps, just make sure that it's all up to date. Then where it says in step 1, because I want to find out, and then whatever you decide to make changes to that section. But this information here that I'm highlighting, this is where you're going to get your research questions. Okay, so please add those research questions here at the bottom.
I already have the research questions, but I haven't uploaded them yet.
Okay.
And
This
I
is what.
To update the other information.
Okay. Do you have your research questions with you now today, or?
No,
Okay.
I don't know because I don't have my laptop.
All right. In order for us to get the most out of our tutoring sessions, it helps me and it helps you to try to upload as much as you can. Keep this updated, both the Canvas and your Google Drive document, so I can help you kind of see what direction. We can talk about organization. We can talk about how you want to organize your literature review, since now we should be in the process of writing up our literature review. Just remember that our literature reviews due February 28th. Yes. Okay. And so I would start, and I think we talked about this before, start by adding your research questions here, your thesis statement here. Don't worry about your introduction at this point, but just add your thesis statement. And then add the 2 to 4 main sections and how you want to plan to organize your argument. And I would review the link that I provided in week 2. That talks about how to form or how to develop an argument, which is precisely about how to organize your literature review, and then start writing in your thesis, your literature review. Sorry. So do you have any doubts about how you want to organize your work? Do you think you have enough information?
I more or less have like the idea about how I'm going to organize.
Okay.
I'm gonna start writing like a definition of listening, and then listening teaching listening or listening in the usual classroom. And here I'm gonna talk about some of the techniques that I have found.
Okay, my recommendation would be at the beginning not to spend. I mean, you can define terms as you need to define the terms, but I wouldn't designate a section just for definitions. Try to, whenever you present terms, you feel that they need a definition, define them, but within the context of the argument. So start from your first section, your first claim, your first idea that supports your thesis statement. So don't spend a lot of time or a whole section on a lot of definitions or anything, but certainly define the terms that need to be defined, but within the context of the argument, the position that you are describing. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay.
So there's really not much else I can help you with, but go ahead and upload it. If at any point,
can I come by on Friday to see?
Sure. As soon as you start uploading this information here, at any point you want me to look at it, you can either send me an email if you want me to make comments to Google Drive, or if you want to come by, we can sit down and talk about it. But I would prefer that you have something here first that we can kind of work from, and then each week the idea is that I'm going to pull up your document and we'll have a discussion, right? And talk about how you're coming with your work. So go ahead and upload that. And at any time this week you want me to look at something, or you think we need a discussion, feel free to come by and we can have that discussion. So.
What else? ¿Qué más le iba a preguntar?
The main thing here is to make sure that you see the relationship between the thesis statement and the research questions. So the reason I'm suggesting to everyone to start with the research questions and the thesis statement are primarily for you to, as a reminder. So when you write each day and you're adding to your document, and I would recommend you to work as much as possible in Google Drive. For practical purposes, so you don't lose the document, you don't have problems with viruses, or you forget the file here or whatever. If connectivity is a problem and you don't have access a lot to the internet, upload, copy and paste from Microsoft Word or whatever file, whatever program you're using, as often as possible, so that it's always here in Google Drive, safe, and you don't have to worry about losing data and bringing a file or whatever. So try to upload as much as possible so that the information is here. Each time you contribute to your literature review, remind yourself, what are my research questions and what is the thesis, the main idea of my entire thesis, so that you are staying on track, on topic, that you're not talking about something that really doesn't relate much to your research questions. And remember that the thesis statement is the answer to your research questions. Just as you later will investigate and research your own research questions to get your own answers, the thesis statement is what the experts say. It's their quote-unquote answer to your research questions. So it's very important to make sure that these are aligned, that the research questions, that the actual thesis statement answers your research questions, and your whole argument, that is the whole literature review, is to explain the argument around your thesis statement, right? That you are talking directly about your thesis statement with each of these subsections that you have here. All right, so we really want to spend, be very careful to make sure at the end of all of this, at the end of the semester, and you finish your research, that the literature review is directly aligned with what you are going to research. That you don't mention something in your literature review that doesn't really have much to do with your research. Okay, so that's what I'll be looking for here. I'll be looking at your research questions and your thesis statement, looking at your main sections to see if it all aligns, and that it's logical, that it seems like there's a logical argument. And I have 3 examples here, but I would say anywhere from 2 to 4 sections will be. It's just going to depend on how much information you have in each section. And what we want to avoid is to have a level 2 heading, which are these. These are level 2 headings. We want to try to avoid to have like one paragraph under one section. That would be probably not enough information to justify having a level 2 heading. So I would say anywhere, from maybe 200 to 300 words up to, so maybe 400 or so. These are just rough estimates, but I would go ahead and start with that. And if you want me to look at it this week before our next tutoring session, just let me know.
And I also have a question about upper style. The font is Times New Roman?
Yes, font. It's Times New Roman, font size 12.
Okay.
Now that includes all headings, basically all text. Okay. And just so you know, there's no need to. Of course, it's not so much an issue in Google Drive, but like in Word, you have like different formats that don't mess with those. It's all normal text.
Okay.
And the only thing you'll be changing for headings is that they will be in bold. And they may be centered if it's a level 1, like your title of the work, or if it's a level 2, it'll be just like this on its own line, flush left. But it's still Times New Roman, font size 12.
Okay.
Same way with references at the end.
And
these are just examples here. You can delete these once you have your own.
¿Y el espacio que tiene al principio de cada párrafo, sí tiene que llevar un espacio o no?
Between paragraphs?
No, at the beginning of each paragraph. Like
the indentation.
Yeah.
Yes, each paragraph should have a 1/2 inch indentation. So, except for the abstract, but all other paragraphs will have a 1/2 inch indentation. And I would recommend using these slider bars at the top. just like Microsoft Word.
Okay.
And in fact, it's already set. I've already included these, so you
Okay,
don't have
thank
to
you.
really do anything, but start typing, and it should be okay. But for if some reason you lose it, just select the text and move this top slider bar over 1/2 inch. And you may have to, I'm not sure by default how you set up your Google Drive, but if these units are in centimeters, I would change it to inches, just because it's hard to find. 1/2 inch would be like 0.12 something centimeters, so it's much easier just to use the inches.
Okay.
Any other questions or doubts?
No, I think I don't.
No?
But I'll send you an email if I remember
problem.
anything.
Yeah, and just make sure that if you do have doubts, you're not sure about something, to contact me, so you're not. I don't want you to waste any time with developing.
Well, I have to upload everything by tomorrow. Well, everything that I have, because they haven't finished it.
Okay.
And so I can come here or send you an email on Friday to see.
Yeah, today's Tuesday, so yeah, Friday or
because
even
I really
before.
want to finish for next week.
Do your best to finish, the first draft, because there may be some changes needed. So, in fact, there's likely to be changes, right? So, we're not going to have, after we finish with the literature review, then we're going to be moving on to data collection and the next process. So, we can look at things later, but we'll be more concentrated on the rest of the process. So let's do your best to get us to finish on time, and I'll give you feedback at the end where you can make modifications, and the key is not to get behind. Okay. So. All right. Okay, Pilar. Well, just hang in there, and if I don't see you, then I'll assume that things are going smoothly. But if you have questions, just let me know. All right.
Well, thank you.
All right. You're welcome.